Logitech recently floated the idea, I can't even say it, I'm going to say it, I can't say it, of a subscription-based mouse.
This has to be one of the most annoying, dumb things I have seen a company do in so long.
What,
so
like a week?
Logitech is a well-known company that makes like peripherals for computers, right? They make webcams, they make mice, they make keyboards, and usually people have a lot of good things to say about their peripheral. But recently, they had a leadership change. In the old
I think Logitech has good mice, it has bad headphones. And it has good keyboards, too.
Went to work for Supreme, and that is not a lie. He actually did go to work for Supreme.
Wow.
Like, you know, the company that sells bricks and T-shirts that are like $100 with a Supreme
logo. Wait, a brick?
Go to work for Supreme. Like, you know, the company that sells bricks.
What are you gonna do?
And T-shirts that are like $100 with a Supreme logo. Yeah, the Logitech CEO went over there. But there's a new CEO, and her name is Hanneke Faber. I don't care if I'm pronouncing that name right, because frankly, she doesn't deserve the correct pronunciation, even if I'm wrong. And I say that because I have never seen worse decision-making in my life. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but still. So Logitech is gonna stop selling smart doorbells and cameras, which, like, who really cares? As long as they don't stop selling webcams, I don't care. I don't think anyone really cares. The big thing that set me off was the fact that, one, there's AI buttons now in Logitech mice.
Holy fuck. Are you kidding me? Like, what did you do? You put this in there so the investment firms that own part of your company are gonna say it's worth more? And your stock's worth more? Like, holy fuck, this is crazy. The AI button. Holy.
Why? And you also might be wondering, what is an AI button? Because that was my first thought, too. I'm like, what is an AI button? That's not a thing. Well, it turns out it's just a stupid shortcut to open an AI prompt thing. Yeah, this is...
Wow. Wow, just what we needed.
So brain dead. Why would I use Logitech's AI software to begin with? And if I really wanted to, I could just open the software for my mouse and bind a key to some AI thing. You can do that with the mouse already.
To be fair, the only people that know how to do that are nerds. So, of course, they're going to put a button on there because, like, they're selling this mouse to people that don't know how to make macros and don't know how to download the mouse software. So, yeah, of course. Not really? Nah, bro. Like, if you think that the average, like, bro, what are you talking about? You really think that the average computer user knows how to bind a button to their mouse? Are you fucking delusional? Are you kidding me?
An AI button is so stupid.
Yeah.
I am in awe at this course of events because we not only had this really dumb AI button thing, she also wants to make a forever mouse, which is just a...
Might carry a subscription fee. Subscription mice, it's a lot.
Subscription mouse, which, please, for the love of God, none of you buy. Please. Nobody buy this.
They're gonna buy, people are gonna buy it. Bro, people buy bricks. They buy $1,000. You think not. What I've learned is that if there's something stupid out there, there's somebody even stupider that will buy it. Absolutely. They dumb as fuck.
Stupid mouse. Let Logitech go under. Please. Yeah. There's not even any new features. It would be software features, which we all know is nothing. What is a mouse going to do any differently than it did like the day you bought it? Is it going to give me aimbot in the future with an update? Is that what it's going to do?
Hey, I'll pay a subscription for that.
Because that is the only useful feature I can think of for an AI-powered mouse. Like, genuinely, what software updates can they give a mouse to make it worthy of paying a subscription? Like,
well, here's what's funny about it is that you already have software updates. Like Razer Synapse and like the Logitech program update regularly. So this idea that like this doesn't exist is crazy. Like it's been like this for always.
Surely, most of the things involved with the mouse to make it good are all hardware stuff.
Yes.
Like the scroll wheel, how that feels.
Exactly.
Clicking the mouse, how does that feel? How fast it refreshes the polling rate. I think it's the polling rate. Changing
Something
your DPI
like
with
that,
buttons. Like all that stuff is like on the mouse.
I can do that.
So I genuinely have no idea what they're going to add to this thing in the future to make it seem worthy at all of a subscription. Like,
well,
maybe
I know what they're going to add to it. So what they're going to do is they're going to put quirks into the mouse that make it worse or have it, like they give it obvious weaknesses that then you have to pay a subscription to download the update to avoid. So like it has like a thing where if you triple click, it will quadruple click, or it will like make some sort of, you know, like if you click once, it'll double click or something like that. And it'll be turned on by default, right? So this is a smart thing they do. This is Logitech, this is what you should do. So you have the mouse that double clicks on a right click by default, okay? And then you have it to where there's an update that you have to pay a subscription for that changes the default setting to turn that off. Because people won't know how to turn off, and you'll be able to turn it off in the settings for the program for the mouse, but because only probably 5% of the mouse users can actually access that because the other 95% are retarded, you're going to be able to take that 95% of people and have them pay for the subscription because they don't know how to use the software. That's what they should do.
It would be AI features, but like, that's stupid. Why would I go to Logitech, the hardware company, for my AI tools? That makes no sense. And not only that, this stuff doesn't make money. OpenAI.
Oh, it could be bring on bankruptcy. Projection. What's the other one? Let me see this. Goldman Sachs, $1 trillion to be spent on AI centers, chips, and Unity upgrades with so little to show for it so far. Yeah, well, I mean, I think that they're obviously like, why is this happening? Everybody knows why it's happening. It's happening because of NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA got massive. Like, the stock has been going to the fucking moon. And it's ever, like, when did the stock start going up? It's whenever they did their AI showcase, right? So I think that all of these other tech companies are trying to, like, replicate that level of success by trying to appeal in that way. That's what's happening.
Money. OpenAI is talking about going broke in a year. Why would this make any money, Logitech? Also, please hit that like button down below and subscribe if you're new. Thank you. I can only imagine that these companies are just really desperate at this point because this is actually just like a bad move. Like, this is counterproductive. This is just pissing off everyone who actually likes the company. Like, they already had a really dumb rebrand to Logi instead of Logitech.
That's so stupid, bro. Like, Logi? That sounds like a Pokemon. And not one of the good ones, but like, you know, I ran out of ideas, so we made Diglett, but now this one is like a different shade of brown.
Because, you know, why use the name that's carried you for all these years when you can just switch it to Logi? That makes total sense.
So
but I think
stupid.
most people who use a Logitech mouse or keyboard are probably power users, or they've heard good things about the brand and bought one of their cheap mice and keyboards. Because generally speaking, Logitech actually does make good stuff, which is why this is annoying. Why? You were one of the good ones! And what's even crazier is I just thought about this for a second. Logitech has a line of products that would be perfect to integrate with AI. And it's just their webcams. Like, that actually would just make sense. I'm not saying do a subscription because that's annoying, but AI video sharpening is pretty good. And removing backgrounds is technically like AI stuff. They have a line of products that would make sense to make AI. But they didn't.
That's hard to do, though. Yeah, so like that's so hard to do. Like, think about how much work that's going to be. Whereas, like, all they have to do for a mouse is, like, you just make it to where it's, like, clicking twice, right? I mean, it's so easy.
Do that. They made AI mice.
Yep.
Why? I don't get it. I'm sure somebody has found a use for these ChatGPT prompts with the mouse, and I'm sure there was, like, one guy on Earth who used
download Valorant aimbot.
ChatGPT prompts, Logitech, and had some use out of it, okay? Like, I'm not saying it's entirely useless, but oh my god. I don't need a button on my mouse to open an AI prompt window. This is dumb. And if I wanted an AI prompt window, I would just map one of my keys that already exist on my mouse or my keyboard to open it. I'm not going to buy an AI mouse. And I am so sorry.
It's ridiculous. It is. It is a ridiculous thing to do. And I think it's just, it's one of these things where it's these companies that are trying desperately to stay relevant and to make it seem like their company is like forward thinking. And I think that's why it's actually happening. Is they're just trying to to stay relevant. And also,
if you own this mouse,
here's another component that needs to be addressed. Is that this was a thought experiment of an idea that was floated by the CEO. It's not like Logitech was saying they're going to do this. They were just having a conversation about, like, what would happen if we did this and, like, how would this work?
You are catching so many
It's not like they
today.
committed to this.
And there are some interesting points in this article about how traditional PCs might be going away very soon, which is not entirely incorrect. I don't know how soon they're going to go away, but yeah, like we're going to have some kind of brain interface in the near future or eye tracking because that tech is getting really good. There's going to be a point where using a mouse makes no sense. So they wanted to expand out of that. Makes total sense to me. But
I don't agree with that. I think that there will always be people that are more comfortable with using a mouse. So, and this is one of the issues, is that technology does not advance as quickly as people's familiarity with technology or comfort with technology. So just because a technology comes out doesn't necessarily mean that it's some kind of like brand new thing that's gonna make everybody gonna want to use it immediately, right? Sorry, I got confused halfway through saying that. But yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, it'll take a while for people to become comfortable with it. It's the same as AI right now. Like right now, AI is perceived to be a lower quality and a lower degree of trust. That will change over time. But right now, that's how it's perceived.
Subscription mouse service is not the way to do it. This just pisses off everyone who actually likes your products. Because I think most people who tout Logitech as being like a really good company are people who are enthusiasts. And then enthusiasts talk positively about it. And then that spreads. But if all the enthusiasts start dogging on it, it's probably not going to work out too well. I mean, even recently, I decided to upgrade my Logitech mouse, and I did that. And then, for some reason, the new one was just worse in every single way. The clicking felt mushier. The scroll wheel felt mushier. It just didn't feel as good of a mouse. And that could just be because I'm not used to it, and I'm used to the old one. But yeah, I returned it and switched back to my old one. That was the first time I bought a new Logitech product and hated it.
I mean, I have a Logitech keyboard right now, and it works pretty well. There are some double press issues, but I've slammed that keyboard like 50 times. So like, I don't really blame that. And I do think Logitech keyboards are my favorite. But Logitech mice, here's the problem, is every Logitech mouse looks like a fucking space. It's an alien spaceship. What the fuck are you doing? Look at this. What the fuck is this? This is out of Warhammer 40K. Oh my god. It's cool? Yeah, no, it's not. I'd be worried about breaking one of the pieces off.
Out of the box. So I don't know what they're doing over there. This whole thing has to be investors demanding growth because they had a huge growth spurt in COVID and then it slowed down a lot. And investors are probably like, oh my god, wait, we thought it was going to go on forever. What happened? Because they think that for some reason, they don't understand the concept of investing and how things go down sometimes. And realistically, they're also probably trying to sell this to companies and not individual people. Because,
what they're trying to do, I think what Logitech is trying to do is Logitech is trying to create the perception of value in the market by capitalizing on a trend that you're seeing a lot of people investing into right now. So they're talking about like adding AI into things. And I think that almost like you have people that are trying to use AI as like, AI is like, for example, like blockchain. I think AI has a lot more immediate uses than blockchain does, at least for like an average person in like a functional way. But in the same way that like in 2021 and 2020, people are using blockchain or like, you know, crypto or something like that, or NFT as like the new like buzzword, AI is that buzzword right now. But the difference is that AI actually does have way more value than like an NFT, for example. So you have good actors in the space and also bad actors. But the difference is that people are trying to just put that money out there to try and just like use that word and hopefully get people to invest into it. Because again, like the investment philosophy that these guys have in a lot of cases are take 100 shots, miss 99, hit one, it goes to the moon, pay off the 99, write off the 99 for your taxes as a loss, easy clap. And so that's the way, like, I mean, this is it's such a good strategy. I was like, why don't we do one of these? This is a great idea. So yeah, easy bueno. Yeah, exactly. That's the game, right? And so it's that AI does have value, but you do have people that are taking a very cynical approach to it in order to capitalize on a market trend rather than create a consumer product. And I think that, again, this is language that is meant for investment, not necessarily for customers.
Executive could easily be like, oh my god, AI-powered mouse sounds like a great idea.
Exactly.
And you think I'm exaggerating, but no, it happens all the time.
100%.
But this will not work for consumers. Consumers are tired of hearing about AI. And AI has to be one of the most diluted terms I have ever seen in my life, at least when it comes
That's the problem. the consumers want AI, but consumers don't want every term that is some form of machine learning to now be changed into AI and rebranded as if it's something new. That's the difference.
Marketing. There is always these hype waves with this kind of technology, and companies start using it on everything they possibly can.
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest problem with AI is the fact that you can make it apply to literally anything software related if you really want to. Like, you could call anything that does anything automatically AI, and you're technically correct now because they diluted this term to the point where it means nothing.
That's exactly it. He is completely fucking right.
And I think people are going to start turning away from companies that use the term AI. I mean, I know I'm going to. I am not going to be buying a new Logitech mouse until they dump this stupid scheme, because this scheme is dumb. I already stopped buying the keyboards because they weren't customizable enough, and my mouse...
I don't think that he understands that there's like a lot of normies, though, that see AI and they think that it's like cool. So I do think that that's not really the case so much. And I think also, will an AI button cause someone to buy another mouse? Because this is really the decision. It's not like whether the AI button is good or not. It's about, even if the AI button is perceived as bad to a consumer, will this cause the consumer to buy another mouse instead? I don't think so.
This is just fine, so I'm going to keep using that, and if it breaks, I'll buy a different brand. I'm not buying Logitech again. I am not going to support a company that wants to make a subscription mouse, okay? It's not happening. Like, maybe, if there's some extraordinary feature that makes it justified, I'll let it slide. But that doesn't exist. So until that exists, I'm not buying anything Logitech. And this whole situation also reminds me that we're turning into a subscription-based society. We're renting everything, and I don't like it. Like, when I was growing up, the idea of digital media...
This is a huge problem, by the way. He's bringing up a very good point, and I don't think enough people are taking this into consideration, is that right now, we are in, like, this really weird point, because in the 90s, for example, and the 2000s even, we had true digital ownership. You owned the CD. You owned the floppy disk. You owned the drive that it was on. Now, you don't have access to those local files. Like, you don't even have them on your computer. You're playing them through a cloud, or, you need to log in through their server. So, like, we have a huge problem right now with nobody really being able to understand what does digital ownership mean.
And Netflix and all that stuff sounded great.
It's a huge
because
issue.
They never took anything away yet. You had access to everything, and they didn't really take anything from you. But now, in 2024, they take everything, all of the time. If you pay for Netflix, what you like watching on there and what types of shows you like watching could be gone tomorrow. And personally, I don't like having a bunch of monthly subscriptions because most of the time, I don't utilize them enough to actually pay for them. Most of my subscriptions at this point, the only one I still pay for, only two, is Spotify and YouTube Premium because I actually use both of those things enough to justify it. I don't watch Netflix enough to justify it. And on top of that, they constantly throttle your connection. Ever since they took away the ability to force a resolution, I've stopped using it pretty much. Because I'll just be watching a show and it will suddenly look horrible and I can do nothing about it. And like, I paid for the 4K. Give me my 4K. I don't care if my TV or whatever is not 4K. Give me the bitrate. But there is no way I'm using a subscription mouse. And I feel like most people feel
nobody is going to use it. And if they do, they're not going to pay into it, right? I mean, I think he's right. Like, and it does break down a lot of goodwill with like the people, because like like you think about like a forever mouse, right? A $200 mouse. Who's buying a $200 mouse? Is your uncle buying a $200 mouse? No. The person who's buying a $200 mouse is a person who is like very invested into technology and cares about it a lot. So if the value proposition isn't there, you are making this value proposition to the most informed group of people that you have. I'm sure some people will buy it, for sure, but it definitely is a problem.
Same way, because subscriptions are getting really tiring.
Tech and forever don't mix.
Way too many of them, and I agree. People are not good at realizing how much they're spending on subscriptions, and that goes for me as well and everybody. It's just something you kind of sign up for and forget about. But when you have so many, people are going to start looking and realize that it's costing them a lot of money, and they're going to cancel stuff. So the idea that people would subscribe to a mouse is kind of insane. Like, I don't know anybody who would do this. And I think most people would look at this and think this is a stupid thing, and I'm not going to buy it. Because why would you? You basically would be paying for the same features you already get just monthly now. Like,
I think what happens is that you get a lot of people in a room together and they start agreeing with each other, and before you know it, it turns into a mouse having a subscription. That's what happens. Is that, like, how many of you guys have been part of something like this at your job, maybe? And you're brainstorming about something, and somebody floats an idea that, like, in retrospect, sounds like the worst idea that anybody's ever heard of in the history of ideas. But, like, everybody starts talking each other up, and they're like, oh, yeah, then we do this, then we do that. Like, yeah, let's start going with this, right? So, like, it happens, right? Yeah, I want to sell air in a bottle, right? Yeah, exactly. A bunch of yes men. Yes, exactly. And so and I've had this happen myself, right? I've seen it happen many times where it's like everybody's sitting around talking about this idea, and, like, this idea is actually horrible, but because nobody else has any other idea, or, like, the concept of it is good, people are only thinking about it in the context of, like, how can we make this idea good, rather than is this idea good? Software engineer here all the time? Yeah, exactly, right? This happens constantly. So I bet this happens at Logitech too.
I'm already forced to pay for subscriptions for certain software, okay? The last thing I want is to start paying subscriptions on my hardware. I'm not leasing your mouse. I'm buying it, and that's end of the story. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you're new. Follow me through @adspans1 and click the screen to check out all my content, and have a good one.
He's right. He's right about pretty much everything.
But yeah.
I agree. And so... yeah, he's right. Yeah, I think so. Like, the mouse thing and everything, I think people are not going to buy this. Here's the video. Like, I do definitely fucking agree. Another example of enshittification. Well, I think it's like a group of executives or a group of decision makers get together and they start thinking about, like, ways that they can make money. And then what happens is that I think that there's, like, a certain type of bias where it's like, if you go against, like, what everybody else is saying, you're seen as, like, throwing a wet towel on it, right? You're a vibe killer. You are destroying people's excitement for it. So I think that's what really happens. Influencers will make it happen? No, influencers can't make people do things. So you saw this with, for example, NFTs. So every influencer in 2021, basically, I mean, not everyone, but, like, a lot of them were talking about NFTs and, like, crypto and stuff like that. Did it take off? No, it did not. The truth is that a content creator or an influencer or somebody with an online presence can make people aware of a product, but it cannot change that product's value proposition. So it doesn't matter whether, you know, like, you get some person who's popular to promote something. If people don't see a value in the product, then they're not going to buy it. It's literally that simple. So yeah, it doesn't have to take off. Yeah, exactly. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a drink. And I think that's what happens, right? It's like influencers can lead the people to the water, but there are some people that say, fuck this water tastes like shit. And then they leave. So I think that's what happens most of the time. Well, enough people bought Pokemon's cookies. Well, how do you know that, right? Because, like, you think that enough people bought the cookies. How do we know that enough people bought it to where, you know, the company's actually making a profit on a regular basis? We don't really know that, do we? And especially we don't know that in the case of, like, trying to make up for the time that they have invested before the launch of the cookies that now is already lost money. So yeah, ask her. Well, I don't think she'd say. And if she was going to say, I wouldn't entirely trust it. I'd want to see a balance sheet. And so, no, I wouldn't look at it entirely like that either. I haven't drank enough shit water to recognize good shit water? Yeah, exactly. When are you going to make a product that we can buy? Well, I wonder when. Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Damn, that's crazy. So, she might not actually know herself? Well, no, because it's not her job to know. She's a promoter for the product. She shouldn't know, like, I mean, but she doesn't have to know, like, all of the accounting for it. I mean, that's common sense. So yeah, anyway, a subscription mouse I don't really think is going to appeal to a lot of people. Logitech is stupid, but I also think that people to a certain degree are overreacting to this because the CEO was asked a question about a Forever mouse and she just simply started talking about a theoretical, right? And this theoretical is being pushed around as if Logitech is planning on doing this. That's not really the case. That's not really what's happening. So yeah. I think people are just sick of this shit. Yeah, exactly. Soulframe devs respond to backlash. Pretty good reply. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really that great of a reply, but it was decent enough, right? No one wants a Forever mouse that's a Forever card that's to get new shit. Well, the difference is that, like, whenever you buy a watch, for example, like, a watch is made in a much different way than a mouse is made. because you're not using a watch regularly. Like, for example, like you're not interfacing and pressing and touching the watch all the time. Whereas with a mouse, you're clicking it constantly. And like whenever you have friction, you are going to have, guess what? And especially like the watch has like a hand that goes around, but that hand goes around in a very defined way that is decided by the watchmaker. Whereas with the mouse click, somebody can click hard, they can pick the mouse up and drop it. There are a lot more like weird things that can happen to a mouse. Sort of like clicking? Yes, but the clicking is not mechanical. It's done by a person, which makes it erratic, right? It makes it erratic, and like basically machines usually break down when they are used erratically or they are used in ways that are not uniform. That's what happens in irregular ways. That's what usually makes machines break. Can you argue that friction is autonomously applied to the watch? It is, but it's applied in a controlled environment. Whereas the mouse, the friction that's being put onto the mouse button is not being applied in a controlled environment. So it's different.